Hey everyone, this is Sravanthi Prattipati. Please do like, share, subscribe to Telugu Tales.
Hey, Jagath, how did Jagath happen for you?
Jagath happened exactly 3 years ago, Naku. I would really put myself as an actress who I would be like, is there any role you see myself in? Right? Like in terms of how a character should look or the vibe she should give out. And then please just take an audition. Some days you have an audition, some days you have like overnight shoots. So you're like not even in Dallas. ఇంకో ఊర్లో ఉండి షూట్ చేస్తాము. I teach Telugu to kids, so every Saturday I go to this school called Manabadi and then teach Telugu to them. Not as a Telugu girl, but as a Telugu American, I got this stereotype a lot. They expect Telugu Americans to be, or like just people who are brought up here to be more, ఏమంటారు, open, liberal and stuff.
So, Sravanthi, welcome to Telugu Tales. You're an indie film actress here, trying to make it big into Telugu films. సో చెప్పండి, మీరు ఇక్కడ డాలస్లో ఏం చేస్తుంటారు? వాట్ డస్ యువర్ డైలీ లైఫ్ లుక్ లైక్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ మూవీ గిగ్స్?
Yep. So thank you, Sai. Thank you, Telugu Tales, for having me here. So I guess as an actress, every day really depends. Okuksari I wake up and obviously, I guess acting pakkana pedte, just in terms of lifestyle, it just starts with my gym, journaling and all that stuff. But adi pakkana pedte, some days you have an audition, some days you have like overnight shoots. So you're like not even in Dallas. ఇంకో ఊర్లో ఉండి షూట్ చేస్తాము. అండ్ కొన్ని డేస్ యూ ఫోకస్ ఆన్ ప్రమోషన్స్, విచ్ ఇస్ వేర్ ఐ ఎమ్ అట్ రైట్ నౌ. సో కొన్నిసార్లు ఇట్స్ లైక్ డబ్బింగ్. And so it really varies day by day.
We'll get to your Jagath movie in a bit, which is what you're promoting for. But tell me, a Telugu girl, ఎట్లా మీరు సినిమాలలోకి ఎట్లా వద్దాం అనుకున్నారు? What started that seed in terms of acting?
Cinema and acting seed. So it's a very funny thing actually. నాకు చాలా ఇష్టం. Even before this whole movies and stuff, I teach Telugu to kids, so every Saturday I go to this school called Manabadi and then teach Telugu to them. And acting in Telugu ఎప్పుడు డిఫరెంట్ ఉండేది నాకు. సో because when I was doing acting over here, ఎప్పుడు హిందీ అండ్ ఇంగ్లీష్ థియేటర్ చేశాను. అండ్ తెలుగు వాజ్ లైక్ డిఫరెంట్. తెలుగు కల్చర్ యాక్టివిటీస్ అవి డిఫరెంట్ ఉండేవి. సో those two came together for me when I moved to Dallas. ఒక ఆడిషన్ చూశాను and that thing led to another. సో అలా తెలియకుండానే I've just traveled across the US to work for Telugu cinema. Alani, I'm not just dedicated towards Telugu cinema. My love for Telugu cinema makes me push for it a little more. నేను అక్కడ పెరగకపోయినా కంప్లీట్గా. But I still do, South Asian projects over here. Although, part of me still wants to be that Telugu Amai really bad.
You moved to Dallas from California, right?
Yes.
Dallas is starting to look like the second hub for the Telugu film industry, and na feeling endukante there's a lot of talent floating around here. Is that what you see with Dallas in terms of network? Ippudu meer acting gigs emanna kavali anukunte, do you feel Dallas is like the spot to get to for upcoming actress?
In US, I definitely think so. And I'm a very spiritual girl, and again my Cali to Texas move happened very unplanned. I always thought I was going to go back. Again, that's where I said when I saw that audition, that was in Dallas, and one thing led to another. So ikkada manaki chooskunte, one, we have a lot of Telugu community here. So natural gaane manaki arts ane kaadu, ఏ aspect lo chusna we have more representation from Telugu community. So definitely even ekkada ప్రాజెక్ట్ చేసినా మనకి డాలస్లోనే ప్రీమియర్స్ చేస్తారు ఎక్కువగా. ఎందుకంటే ద లవ్ ఫర్ సినిమా ఇస్ సీన్. ఒకళ్ళు ఫస్ట్ స్టార్ట్ చేశారు అండ్ దెన్ that community kept growing, and now you see multiple projects on the same weekend happening, which I think is something that no one would have probably imagined, a few years ago.
So your journey was very interesting. It was not just Telugu cinemalu, Telugu ani kaakunda, when you started doing theatre, you also did some Hindi plays and English, and then Telugu also happens to be in your album, right? Tell us how it is different. ఇప్పుడు ఒక తెలుగు మూవీ ఇక్కడ డాలస్లో పనిచేసేదానికి versus working in a Punjabi film, which is also something that you're working on. How is it different working in different languages here in the US?
Different languages here in US. I think mainly I've noticed it really depends on the team. Language ani kuda kakunda, like the type of approach they're taking kada. So obviously if it's like a SAG, like union associated aithe konni rules they have to abide. You have to give talent or crew about 12 hours break before your next schedule. Indie films lo okoksari that gets broken because of schedule limits kani manaki, availability limits kani and things like that. And these are also not trained people kada. So when you work with a team who went to school deen gurinche, then they know like how call sheets work or how scheduling works or nearby hospitals list petkovali edi, like just basic things which get overlooked. Just manaki script undi, camera undi, lights unnai, actors unnai, those 4 basic things తో కూడా ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ చేసే వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు. ఆబ్వియస్లీ దాట్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ ప్లానింగ్కి వర్సెస్ స్క్రిప్ట్ ఒక 1 month షూట్ చేసే ముందే లాక్ చేసుకొని ఎన్ని యాంగిల్స్ కావాలి నాకు, లైక్ షార్ట్ లిస్ట్ ప్రిపేర్ చేసుకొని అందరూ ఒక పేజ్లో ఉండగా షూట్ స్టార్ట్ చేయడానికి డిఫరెన్స్ ఉంది. అండ్ దాట్ కుడ్ బీ విత్ డిఫరెంట్ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఆర్ ద టైప్ ఆఫ్ ట్రైనింగ్ వన్ రిసీవ్డ్. ఐ థింక్ మోర్ దెన్ లాంగ్వేజ్ దాట్ ప్లేస్ అ రోల్.
You bring in a very interesting aspect. ఇప్పుడు formalized process ఉంటుంది ఇక్కడ మూవీ మేకింగ్కి. Like a script gets logged. Even if it's an indie film, it's still that process is maintained.
Yes.
మన దగ్గర పెద్ద పెద్ద సినిమాలే ఆన్ లొకేషన్కి వెళ్ళి షూట్ చేస్తారు. ఇఫ్ యూ ఐ మీన్ దిస్ గ్రేట్ మూవీస్, పుష్ప అనే మూవీ, వాట్ ఐ కీప్ హియరింగ్ ఈస్ a lot of it was improvised on the location ani. How do you see that gap in terms of I wish they were more a little more process oriented, because it becomes easier for other stakeholders, whoever are participating. And నీకు అనిపిస్తుందా?
I'm a planner, so that's in my blood. So it's a personality thing, because I don't think it has anything to do with actor ki easy avutadi and things like that. I think it's the best of both worlds. If too much fixed na avadu, because sometimes location constraints untai, or sometimes you might get better ideas looking at a location. Ala marchalsinavi untai, but ala ani location gellaka choosukundam dan batti ante maybe about work for montage songs, right? Avi kuda there's a difference between just randomly getting content versus naku songs lo kuda ee scene I want them doing at a restaurant or at a sidewalk or whatever it might be, right? So I think it should be the best of two worlds. Mari too planned ga unna, I mean, life happens, especially you're shooting outdoor and you suddenly there'll be a school bus and then the sunlight potu untundi. You have to make a call of manam idi 10 shots anukunnam, but because of whatever, maybe you'd have to opt for like a continuous take, which might look more beautiful if it's an intense scene. So alantivi magics kuda avutayi. So I don't think there should be one approach, but alani asale approach lekunda kuda undakudadu ani. Yeah.
That's interesting, right? So let's talk about ఇప్పుడు జరిగే మూవీ జగత్. How did Jagath happen for you?
Jagath happened exactly 3 years ago naku, around my birthday time actually. So I auditioned. Appadki I guess I was working on like one local Telugu project and stuff like that, and I was transitioning to theatre to films. That's another thing I've like noticed and experienced. Theatre acting is so different from film acting, and I'm glad that I had a few experiences before I got on Jagath for that. So Jagath scope naku appudu telidu. All I knew was any project, big or small, I'm the type of girl, like if I see an audition call, I'll apply. I didn't really care much about the result. Obviously I did, right? I'd be lying if I said, oh, I didn't really care. But I put my energy towards it's like sales calls, the number of auditions I can give, because sometimes I might simply not fit the character kada. And Jagath, అది కూడా నమ్ముతాను, ఇట్స్ పార్షియలీ మై టాలెంట్, పార్షియలీ ద బీయింగ్ అట్ ద రైట్ ప్లేస్ రైట్ టైం అంటాం కదా. బికాస్ ఐ థింక్ my director has told me that he has auditioned over 40 girls for this role who have already been established, whether it be like LA or some more like popular influencers or what it might be. And there was a certain look he had in his mind, and I was again very new to acting compared to now. And so that's how it has happened, and I was so excited because it's a completely new genre in a new location, and obviously I was way younger when I started Jagath. Literally I tell everyone, or they also tell me that I grew up with Jagath.
No.
So that's how it happened.
Yeah, 3 years is a long time, right? In terms of shoot. Like, tell me,
మీ పాప కూడా పుట్టేసింది.
yeah. It has, I mean, like 3 years of having focus and energy on a movie is a lot. You know, a project, మనం 3 years ఒక ప్రాజెక్ట్లో చేస్తున్నామంటే you're asking for a lot. Did you initially plan for 3 years అట్లా ఉండిందా, లేకపోతే it just happened to be indie film కష్టాలు that just got dragged?
Definitely the latter part. When we started, it's like, so the lead of the film is Rakesh, and Miru Vinay Untar. He has worked in very prominent Telugu short films, and Gatamani first India appade ochindi actually. Telugulo, like US lo chesindi, and alla nak telusu. When I watched Gatam, I messaged him and things like that. So he always would laugh or give that small smile. Mita valandaru relatively new actually compared to him. ఒక స్కెడ్యూల్లో అయిపోతుంది అంటే అట్లా కాదు బ్రో, అవుతుంది బ్రో అంటే అందరికీ తెలీదు కదా. వి ఆల్ ఆర్ లైక్ వై వి ప్లాన్డ్ ఇట్ అని. బట్ ఈచ్ స్కెడ్యూల్కి వి గాట్ a new struggle. Like for the first one, obviously we all expected konni undipotai kada, right? And so there's that. And second schedule ki we had one of our ADs get physically hurt. So light stand untundi kada, so daniki manamu sandbags pedtam aa weight ki. So evaro sandbag teesesar. Sandbag should be usually the last thing you take out because that's the one that supports it kada. So I think during a pack up time someone removed the sandbag and AD was right in front of that metal light thing. There was a skull like crack open undi, and she was a female AD, and like a lot of sets, or actually I won't say a lot, like I was on a very female prominent sets before as well, thankfully, because it's a cool experience to have that. But majority, especially in Telugu, there were times like 80% of the time I was the only girl on set. So Deenik kuda, so and again I had her, so we were rushing to the hospital. That's where you need to know, like call sheets like nearest hospital undali, what are their hours, because this is when someone's losing so much blood in front of you. That could have been me. Like knock on wood, but it's a very scary thing to witness kada. Alla cancel అయిపోయింది ఒకసారి. My DP got tested positive for COVID because we were testing COVID, and everyone was flying in from different places.
Also, this was during the COVID peaks too, right?
Peaks too, yeah. We started shooting end of 2021. మనకి అప్పటికి 6 months అయింది vaccines వచ్చి, but there's still that waves we were having కదా. So that was a challenge. మనకి crew essential crew kochite we can't really work on a project, so we had to, I don't know how my director had that like in him to still continue this. And oksari varsham padindi last vedu teestunnappudu, so continuity issues vachai. So like one after the other, I think it took a lot of determination, because at that time we were all like working professionals as well, doing this simultaneously, so getting everyone's dates together, because we all have personal lives. Couple of them got married while Jagath was happening, so actually not couple, more than that. So it was obviously they had personal lives too, and the visa statuses, and thankfully I didn't have to deal with that. Like my job, okay, well, whatever it is, I know if I want to be, acting could be the main thing, and I know not everyone had that liberty and privilege to do that, so they had to like also take care of that. And so yeah, avanni avvadaniki 3 years pattindi.
You strike a very interesting balance. You go between like art and the commercial cinema. Jagath seems to be the direction that you wanted to, like a commercial sort of thing where you're getting some theater time, right? Like screen time in terms of large scale presence. Is that a conscious decision that you take? Like, okay, ippudu koncham hatke oka art cinema lanti chedamu, ippudu let's make sure I'm coming into the the focuses of the big directors somehow or the other. Is that a strategy that you maintain?
To be very honest, when I started with this path, naku strategy anedi తెలియదు కూడా. I didn't know there was, just like, you know, how you apply for a job and everything, I thought you prepare your resume. Ikkada schooling kada. So even before I graduated, I minored in theater arts. So they made sure I had a demo reel, a headshot, a resume. So very professional, right? You apply to an agency, you do an audition. Itlage telusu. Naku Telugu side of business side of things telidu. So in terms of strategy ledu, and I've over the time started hearing, and adi kuda sai, the scary part is you hear 1,000 strategies, which is the part. It's not like I don't want to follow a strategy, and that's where I started to be like following my authentic strategy. So when I started, my professor asked me this question. He was like, he's a Filipino American. He was like 50 when I was in college, right? And he used to do main commercial appudu American cinema lo appudu Asian roles takwa, whether it be Indian, Chinese, whatever it is. So he said he didn't find happiness in it. So what he did is he started producing his own films, writing very Filipino centric, because ippadiki manaki 10 years back a lot of Indian stereotype jarigindi. Even I've like very early on asked to audition an Indian accent, not because the character is from India, and I've denied roles which have requested to do the accent just for no reason. And konni aithe the director was like, Sravanthi, you're right. Like, I honestly don't know why I thought it has to be Indian accent. Like, if the character has nothing to do with them being brought up in India, it shouldn't be that way. So that was a really hard strike, because I'm at the risk of rejection. Ante kada, if you're basically making a stand. I think being my authentic self while acting was a little tough. But yeah, that's what it came down to. Basically, the question he asked was, what makes you happy? Just ani. Then I think for me, it's really sharing stories that are important to me, and characters that are that I get enjoy to play, whether it be good or bad. I'm not saying, అందుకే నాకు the concept of heroine ఎప్పుడు అర్థం కాదు. Even if it's a small role, or when people ask me, మీరు short films చేస్తారా, or మీరు చిన్న role చేస్తారా అంటే, లేదు, tell me the character in the script, ఈ కథలో whatever it is. Like, even if like in a big movie, if it's like a 2-minute role of a very important role is important for me, which I'm realizing in an industry that's not considered important ani. Appudu then I started to balance it out to please certain audience too, like whether it be doing music videos, also focus on commercial cinema, while also not abandoning the art films.
You're born and raised here. There's a certain sort of norms that you're born and brought up in, certain sort of principles and certain sort of processes. మన తెలుగు సినిమాకి వచ్చే వరకు it's still very hierarchical. I mean, there is a very there's a protocol to approach a producer. You have to go through a certain channel. Things are opening up. I'm not saying it's always like that, but things have opened up. Have you had that struggle, like when you said, okay, let's focus on Telugu cinema, manaku Telugu vachu kada ani? Have you had that struggle to break in initially, or was it like, okay, I'll touch him, and then this is where I'll make the first point of contact, and here's where I'll do my first atla? Is it so easily maneuverable?
I think I'm still struggling, right? Like, that challenge is always there to break in, right? Because it's a constant thing. Oka project to aipoyi, it's not like that, right? You're always trying to move on. And I was born in India, but I was I was there for a few years. Anduke like naku koncham Hyderabad idea undi. But again, our family moved to Cali, so I was like brought up here. So values, systems, and then also the core things, how things work anedi ikkade telusu naku, right? Because my surroundings were all that. That easy oka contact to maneuver anedi, one thing led to another అని చెప్తాను. I think I also didn't start from nowhere, just because ఇప్పుడు when I obviously when I do a project here, వాళ్ళకి ఎవరైనా తెలిసిన contact, so some people were koncham they took that manamai, let's guide her a little bit, and if they give a contact. When I went to India, I met everyone, whether it be from a small actor to a director to a cameraman, anyone, because for me it was like, do I like the industry? It was not like I have to get my next big thing. For me, it is about building a relationship with a person who would put me with someone who thinks in that field. Endukante if they put me with someone which is completely out of the box, although it might be huge, it might not be really authentic to me. Like it's kind of saying that I know Vinay untaru, right? Whether it be like casting couch and stuff. If it comes to it, will you do it? I'm not really. It's a personal choice of people. Since నాకు ఆ క్లారిటీ ఉంది కాబట్టి it didn't scare me. I'm like, okay, worst case ఏమవుతుంది? Why? Like there's something each of us is looking for. We'll depart ways. And I had to come to terms with that because that means less opportunities. But at least it means opportunities that are true to me.
So, తెలుగు అమ్మాయిల్ని క్యాస్ట్ చేయమని there is requests that come up. At the same time, we all understand that it's business. How do you think directors should look at the new crop of talent that is coming up here in Dallas? If you were to give a 2-minute elevator pitch to a director, let's say I'm Rajamouli, right? How would you approach? I know this is so unscripted, but tell me. Let's say if I'm Rajamouli and you get like 2 minutes of my time, how would you pitch me something that grabs my attention? You have to be prepared for that pitch at one day. What would be that pitch?
Yeah, hopefully I do get that opportunity.
Right.
But it depends on the audience. Me Rajmouli annar kabatti I don't think I'll make a pitch about me being Telugu girl and pull out that it's like a sympathy card or something like that. It's real. I'm not saying it's not real any, but I would really put myself as an actress who I would be like, is there any role you see myself in, right? Like in terms of how a character should look or the vibe she should give out. And then please just take an audition. I think I just want the audition step because I don't think certain directors, I think just go with Telugu అమ్మాయిల్ని తీసుకోకూడదు alani, right? Like maybe there's commercial aspects involved, right? If they're putting thousands of crores, right, in something, I could see why they're doing that. So I think for me, what am I bringing to the table? But where can I make their character stand out or something? Me Rajmouli annar kabatti, I think for me, I think that's where that stands out, to be like I'm focused on the craft or this is my previous work, but he's not even gonna have that much time gada. More of like maybe I was trained or just give an audition if that fits, or just keep me in the back somehow, or I'll just ask to just shadow on his set.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that itself is like your internship to the next big thing, right?
Yeah.
What are the typical kind of stereotypes that you hear when you get into a set, right? Edana Telugu set loke elte, what are the typical stereotypes that you hear? You're like, give me a break. This is not me. Do you feel
typical stereotypes? Ikkada? Stereotypes ante ఆలోచిస్తున్నా. Maybe they expect like a Telugu girl to be more conserved, like conservative ga untundi emo, like and things like that. So that was, maybe it is true. Like again, I was partially brought up here kabatti for me some things which are common are probably not common in general. So adi oka stereotype anta. Unkoti, yeah, I think for me, not as a Telugu girl, but as a Telugu American, I got this stereotype a lot. They expect Telugu Americans to be, or like just people who are brought up here to be more emantaru open, liberal and stuff. I am actually one of the most conservative in terms of certain value system, not putting anyone down, compared to a lot of people who were born and brought up in India and who are here for their grad school or whatever.
Yeah.
And even na friends lo chuskunte, I have friends who they were actually born and brought up, at least naku konni years in Hyderabad lo unna, they were born and brought up here, but their Telugu was more fluent, they were more proud of their culture than some people like ikkadiki vachi ventane edo westernized ayipoli, show off ichali in the way they dress or in the way they speak, or like adedo it's uncool to be Telugu. And I think people here take more pride in their culture, whether it be in terms of dance, whether it be in terms of I don't know, like anything,
any art form, right?
Yes.
నేను అది చాలా అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తుంటా. లైక్ ఇక్కడ కిడ్స్ హు ఆర్ బోర్న్ హియర్, they make a very genuine effort to read and write Telugu. Can you read and write Telugu and all that?
I teach Telugu. I read Telugu, I write Telugu, and I love Telugu.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Talk about your future projects here. What are the other projects that you're working on in terms of your upcoming releases, and what are the things that you're stoked about?
Ooh, in terms of a very recent one, Shrikaramani, oka film ochindi, which is very close to my heart because it's a, probably you guessed it, our art film. Adi we finally released it film festival run ayaka. We released it on YouTube. And upcoming, you mentioned Jagath. So Jagath is a feature film, so which is why I'm really excited. Because enta effort petna to pull out a 2.5-hour film is a huge deal, especially to bring it to theaters in India. I don't think I've ever in my wildest dreams thought that was possible, Ani. So I'm going to India for that. So that's super cool. In terms of production law, I'm doing this like Punjabi short film about this girl like who goes through a phase of her life and she has to make a stance for herself.
I'm super excited to hear about that project.
Yeah.
So see, in terms of focus, right? Nuvu manchiga, there is this Telugu films, you are striking the balance. Punjabi films, there's a little bit of an accent difference when it comes to Punjabi, when it comes to Telugu. How do you prepare for a role of that sort? It takes a toll on an actor too, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you work on a script that is entirely different from your previous character? How do you get in under the skin?
For me, naku actual shoot day kanna, I love the process of preparing. I think that's what keeps me in the game for long run, because it is very it's like a marathon. It's not a sprint in this industry, especially if you're not someone who just gets a quick overnight fame / success or opportunities. So in terms of preparation, it depends. Like initially, I still remember my first Telugu project. The girl was raised in India, so appudu then English, it wouldn't really sound like this, right?
Yeah.
It would more sound like this kind of, right? So నాకు ఇంకా గుర్తు నా ఫస్ట్ లైన్ వాజ్ లైక్ ఇట్స్ రియలీ బ్యూటిఫుల్. అది నేను చాలాసార్లు 3 words చాలాసార్లు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేశాను రియల్లీ అనడానికి, బ్యూటిఫుల్ అనడానికి ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ బ్యూటిఫుల్, రియల్లీ, రైట్? ఇన్ పంజాబీ వస్తే అది ఇట్స్ నాట్ సంథింగ్ ఐ కెన్ పిక్ అప్ ఆన్ మై ఓన్. అండ్ సిన్స్ I talked so much about authenticity, even for a role I try to do that. So we had a coach from Punjab. I was very nervous. My director was more confident in me than me, so thank you so much, Meenakshi, for thinking of me for that role of Kushi. And so we just worked. Naku shoot up kuda tension gaane undi. So unko take, and it's a sync sound, by the way. I think
sync sound.
This was sync sound. So this is not dubbing.
So it's even more difficult. So you have to do it there on the set, right? You
have to. Whatever gets captured just gets captured. So and you have to focus on your emotions. It's a very emotionally, involved subject kuda, because you're in like tears, you're like in anger while saying Punjabi. So it was a cool experience, and I think more than me, I'm really grateful for directors who see that in you. కదా, I was a classical singer when I can't even sing. ఇప్పుడు నేను పాడితే మీ ఉన్న ఫాలోవర్స్ అందరు ఇన్స్టెంట్లీ డిలీట్ అయిపోతారు. అయ్యయ్యో, వైరల్ అయిపోతాను ఇన్స్టెంట్గా. బట్ ఈవెన్ డాన్సింగ్, ఐమ్ ట్రైన్డ్ ఒడిస్సీ డాన్సర్, బట్ నేను ట్రైన్ భరతనాట్యం కింద చేశాను ఇన్ కపుల్ ఆఫ్ మై ప్రాజెక్ట్స్. సో అది వాళ్ళు కూడా నమ్మాలి కదా, లైక్ షీ విల్ యాడ్ దిస్ మచ్ టు ద ప్రాజెక్ట్ అని. సో ఐమ్ వెరీ గ్రేట్ఫుల్ ఫర్ ద డైరెక్టర్స్, బికాస్ నాకు ఎక్కడో చోట భయం ఉంటుంది, అరే ఇస్ సంథింగ్ గonna come off or something, and so I work more than on those elements more than my acting in those cases.
And working with a women director, right? That's so interesting, because ikkadaki వచ్చే వరకు in the States it's a little normalized. Like the men to women ratio in indie films in Telugu, how is that? Like is that any different from the corporate?
Corporate, I would say it's picking up right now. Ekkada maartadi leadership positions lo, right? That's when it starts kind of getting like 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, and like sometimes none, right? Films vachesi, there are female technicians, and it's a very interesting thing. Naku especially ikkada Telugu projects lo, again, as I said, sometimes I was the only girl on set, but I did, work with a Telugu female director, but she's like more like me. She was actually born and brought up here and pursuing films. And the Punjabi film I was talking about, my DP was a female, director was a female, makeup artist female, the key grip was a female, the person who's she looks like maybe half as me, and inta light lettesi marchesi taka taka. I was like, wow, like this is so cool. Like a PD, I think that was a set where 70% to 80% was female. I didn't see, and then that really shows in the project in a very subtle way.
Right.
Like the little nuances that they pick up. And I'm not saying like men can't do that. Obviously some amazing films are made by them, but I just thought like, wow, of or inta pedda cameras vallu moyadam kuda, and I was just like, wow, even subconsciously నాకు అనిపించింది. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but even I was like, can someone do that? Like, can someone just change lights like anta heavy equipment anta fast and stuff? I was proven wrong. I was just used to ipudu 10 projects or 9 projects, you just see these people gada, like these tall, bulky men just moving things around. To this, it's very like inspiring. At the same time, it makes you feel good that you are also like proud in a way to be part of such a project.
సో తెలుగు సినిమా, టిపికల్ తెలుగు మూవీస్లో దెర్ ఆర్ ఫిల్లర్ రోల్స్. ఎట్లా అంటే ఇప్పుడు హీరోయిన్ పక్కన ఒక ఆమె ఉంటుంది, ఆమె ఏం చేయదు, ఇట్లా జోకులు చేస్తుంటుంది. షీ హ్యాస్ నో ఇంపార్టెన్స్. షీ అంటే ఎంటర్టైన్మెంట్ ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఉంటుందేమో. లైక్ పక్కన నుంచి ఒక హీరోయిన్ సెటైర్ వేయడమో, పక్కన నుంచి ఆడంతేనే అట్లా ఇట్లా అనడమో. అండ్ ఇట్లాంటి క్యారెక్టర్స్కి దెర్ ఇస్ నో రియల్ లెంత్ అండ్ డెప్త్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్. Were you offered any role like that, like filler roles, and you went back and you were asking questions? Normally asking questions is a part of this culture, right? Like you try to understand the character, and did people roll eyes on you, like, or say, are ఎందుకు ఇన్ని క్వశ్చన్లు అడుగుతున్నావు, ఇంత సింపుల్ రోల్కి చెప్తే నువ్వు ఏదో క్వశ్చన్లు అడుగుతావు, అంత సీన్ లేదని? Did you ever face that sort of situations?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I do ask a lot of questions. So naakentante, I think it's a personal thing. If I say, before I say yes to something, right, I can do whatever I like ask, right? Once I commit, I don't want to back off unless it's something it's out of my control, which I realize is very normal in Telugu culture. They'll just easily yes cheppesi, over time they will change things ani. Naaku ala ishtam undadu. It's something I don't want to be with. So I ask these questions, and కొంతమందికి న్యూ అనిపిస్తుంది, ఎందుకు ఇన్ని అడుగుతుంది, డిపి ఎవరో మీకెందుకండి, లైక్ దట్ సంథింగ్ మేము చూసుకుంటాం. ఐమ్ లైక్ నో, జస్ట్ లిటిల్ థింగ్స్ లైక్ దాట్. ఐ థింక్ ఫిల్లర్ రోల్స్ అని పక్కన పెడితే జస్ట్ ఇన్ జనరలే క్వశ్చన్స్ అడిగితే పీపుల్ విల్ థింక్ దట్. బట్ ఐ ఆల్వేస్ థాట్ దట్ షోస్ కమిట్మెంట్. అట్లీస్ట్ ఇక్కడ పెరిగినప్పుడు వెన్ సమ్వన్స్ ఇన్వెస్టెడ్ అండ్ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్, దే ట్రీట్ ఇట్ యాజ్ లైక్ షీస్ ప్యాషనెట్, డిటర్మిన్డ్, డిసిప్లిన్, ఇవి చూస్తారు. లైక్ టైంకి వస్తే డిసిప్లిన్ అండ్ ఆల్. అక్కడ కొన్ని వాట్ ఎవర్ వాల్యూస్ ఐ వాస్ టాట్ ఓవర్ హియర్ యాజ్ గుడ్ వాల్యూస్ యాజ్ అన్ యాక్టర్, మోర్ దెన్ టాలెంట్, ఇట్స్ ఆల్వేస్ స్ట్రెస్డ్ యువర్ క్యారెక్టర్, హౌ యూ షో అప్ టు అ సెట్ యాజ్ ఇట్స్ వర్క్. వెదర్ బీ రీడింగ్ లైన్స్ మెమరైజ్ చేసుకుని రావడం కానీ, మీరు నమ్మరు, దెర్ సమ్ థింగ్స్ వీ టేక్ 20 takes for certain people. Non-actors I understand, like papam just help ki play chedanki. When a key character comes to a set without knowing what scene we're doing and things, it's very it was kottaga anpichide, or late ga raavadam, or it's a norm, like kundunte that professionalism. I think it all comes down to that. So, and I think asking questions is part of that too. It has nothing to do with what type of questions you're asking, but I guess in an umbrella petali ante sometimes I just feel like unless you're up there గొప్పగా చెప్పుకుంటాం, అరే కమల్ హాసన్ సెట్కి 1 hour ముందు వస్తారు, ఎన్టీఆర్ ఇలా చేస్తారు అని. బట్ లేదు అంటే in India it just felt like, I don't know how true this is, maybe I'm wrong, it's getting better with new age directors, but I was told like being on time or following up with people sometimes comes off desperate, which was interesting because over here I was taught that was passionate and shows that you're determined and resilient.
Yeah, that So it's going to be interesting when you go to India కదా ఈసారి.
టిప్స్ ఇవ్వండి నాకు ప్లీజ్. అందరూ మీరు కూడా పెట్టాలి ఇందులో కామెంట్స్.
నాకు తెలిస్తే నేను నీకు ఇస్తా టిప్స్. ఇన్ఫ్యాక్ట్ నువ్వు వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఐ విల్ ఆస్క్ హౌ వాజ్ యువర్ ప్రమోషన్, బికాస్ యూ విల్ ఇంటరాక్ట్ విత్ అ లాట్ ఆఫ్ celebrities now. You know, for you they might not be, for me they will still be celebrities. So once you come back, I'll be very interested how that went. Like expectations versus reality and untadi kada.
Yeah.
So I would love to know what was your expectation versus what was your reality once you come back. I'd love to check that.
Yeah. I actually నేను లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ ఇండియా వెళ్ళా about 3 monthsకి. I think that has debunked my expectations a lot. But ఈసారి అందుకే I'm going a little more open-minded, prepared, I guess, more or maybe with less అంత కల్చర్ షాక్ కింద అనిపిది కదా. వెన్ ఎనీ టైమ్ యూ గో సమ్వేర్ సెకండ్ టైమ్ యూ వుడెంట్ బీ సర్ప్రైజ్డ్. లైక్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐ వాజ్ ఆల్వేస్ థాట్ ఇట్ వాజ్ రూడ్ నాట్ టు రెస్పాండ్ ఇక్కడ, వెదర్ ఇట్ బీ అ టెక్స్ట్ ఆర్ అ పర్సన్ వచ్చినా, లైక్ అన్లెస్ ఇట్స్ లైక్ సమ్వన్ you don't want to associate like in the middle of the night you're walking in a downtown row, you want to avoid such things. But any person, right, even a salesman ochina, you would politely decline, right? In India I learned the hard way that even just saying is like they'll not get a sign that can we wrap the conversation. They'll take it a sign to continue. Things that I've thought were like rude to do were needed to do there, just so people don't invade your personal space. That was one main thing. I was just like, oh, it was very uncomfortable for me because deep down I was like, this is so rude, or this is so rude. But I was like, oh, but I have to do it to protect my personal space when people are not respecting it.
Yeah, that's so true, right? Especially when you're raised here and then you have grown up certain way and it becomes a little bit of a challenge to move. But tell me, how was it receiving an award from Mr. Allu the senior himself? Like Allu Aravind garto you got an award. What was that award? What did you receive that award? I know, but tell our audience.
So this is for a very special film called Srikaram. So K. Vishwanath Gari, death ayinappudu, this organization called Indica Film, they came together, they opened up a contest. So K. Vishwanath Gari style lo films, and it's international, worldwide. So when I got approached for a role here in Dallas, నాకు నిజంగా ఇప్పుడు అంత పెద్ద ఇంటర్నేషనల్ కాంటెస్ట్ అంటే విన్నింగ్ మీద కన్నా ఐల్ బి వెరీ ఆనెస్ట్. ఎందుకంటే కొన్ని ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ లైక్ యూల్ ఫీల్ లైక్ మనకి స్కోప్ ఉంది అండ్ స్టఫ్. ఇది వీ డిడ్ ఇట్ విత్ అ వెరీ లిమిటెడ్ బడ్జెట్ and in 10 days we were wrapping up everything and things like that. So Srikaram ani, it's a movie about a classical singer who faces her set of challenges trying to make it big in film industry. Not even making it big, I guess her like her cultural values by growing up here. This is actually a very close role because she's a Telugu American girl raised over here. Her parental expectations, there's that guilt that we carry. I'm sure every Indian kid can relate. That parental expectation is there, and if you don't meet it, how would it feel? And there's also the societal pressure from influential people from the industry. So it's a very cool film, and it was done in such a beautiful classical manner. And this was put out in the contest, and we were selected as top 8. And next thing I know, in a week I booked a ticket to India and I flew without a return ticket. So it was just like a random trip. And Allu Aravind garu was one of the judges, and then also Amala garu was present there, and then Radhika garu was the judge. So there are a lot of key influential people with multiple rounds like the judging process. So I would say more than the receiving the award from Allu Aravind garu, and obviously it was so amazing, but I think it's a validation every artist needs time to time. Especially going to India, where my thankfully, love you, Amma Nana, have been so supportive, but my extended family were like, ఏం చేస్తుంది, like, like natural concern. నేను ఒప్పుకుంటా, maybe as a concern for someone in their family, right? But that was like when Srikaram came out, they're like, అందరికీ తెలుసు అల్లు అరవింద్ గారు ఎవరు, రాధిక గారు, అమల, అందరికీ తెలిసిందే కదా. దే వర్ లైక్, ఓ షీఈ్ నాట్ జస్ట్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ సమ్ ఫిల్మ్ అంటే అదేదో మాయా కింద కాదు, షీ లైక్స్ and then they saw my acting and they're like, wow, no, this. There are some people who stayed quiet. There are some people who genuinely started encouraging, which my mom never thought they probably would encourage me this much. Now they're one of the first people who comment on my new movie posters, which I'm really grateful for. Like, and that has definitely helped me with that, which is more important for me.
No, it is absolutely important for your family to show up as support, right? It is another sort of validation, so to say, that you know they are there for you. I just blanked out. Okay, I just remembered. So any successful business model is a copycat league. ఇప్పుడు ఒక ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ స్టోర్ పెట్టి ఒక ఫోన్ మంచిగా వచ్చింది అనుకో, దట్ ఫీచర్ గెట్స్ కాపీడ్ ఓవర్ టు అనదర్ డివైస్ దట్ వీ సీ. యూనో ఒక ప్లే బుక్ మంచిగా ఉంటే దట్ గెట్స్ కాపీడ్ ఓవర్, రైట్? ఇప్పుడు రీసెంట్గా మన స్పేస్లో ఏమవుతుందంటే తెలుగు యాక్ట్రెసెస్ ఆర్ మేకింగ్ ఇట్ బిగ్, అ స్ప్లాష్ అనమాట. డూ యూ కీప్ హియరింగ్ లైక్ ఫ్రీ అడ్వైజెస్ లైక్ ఆ అమ్మాయి అట్లా బాగా చేసింది, నువ్వు కూడా అలా చెయ్యొచ్చు కదా, నువ్వు కూడా అలానే చెయ్యొచ్చు కదా? డూ యూ కీప్ హియరింగ్ దట్ కాన్స్టెంట్ ఫ్రీ సజెషన్స్ slash gyan that you keep getting?
Yeah.
And how do you feel?
Let me word it this way. I am very blessed for so many people who are very much so interested in my life and want me to do so well, and the result of that also is them giving lots of advice and suggestions, even whether they have zero knowledge on this industry. Again, I take it as like, నేను ఎలా చూస్తానంటే they're concerned about me, they want me to do well. అలా ఆ కన్సర్న్ లేని వాళ్ళు కూడా ఇస్తుంటారు, జస్ట్ వై నాట్ కింద. సో ఉచిత సలహాలు అనేసరికి sometimes let's say I'm like doing emotionally well, I'm able to take it at that surface level and మన బ్రెయిన్లో ఫిల్టరింగ్ సిస్టమ్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, see what's applicable and leave it at it. కొన్నిసార్లు ఏమవుతుందంటే information overload అయిపోతుంది. Like when I was in India, I was meeting, I told you, every second morning, afternoon, evening I was meeting someone. వాళ్ళ knowledge, వాళ్ళ experiences బట్టి ఇస్తారు, right? Someone who gets robbed would be more careful about something versus someone who has never seen that in their life. Natural human reaction. దాంతో ఏమవుతుందంటే I feel like sometimes it gets that information overload and నాకేది కావాలి అనేది మిస్ అయిపోతుంది, దట్ ఆథెంటిక్ సెల్ఫ్. ఐ ఆల్వేస్ సే దిస్, నా యోగాలో నేర్చుకున్నది ఇది, దట్ వన్ టేక్ అవే ఇస్ వీ ఆల్వేస్ గెట్ పుట్ లేయర్స్. Even after this conversation, I'm sure I'm putting some layer on you and you're putting some layer, right? Over our experiences. But over time, that gets to a point where I start losing myself. So I think it's very important, I've realized, అంతా బాగున్నప్పుడు కాదు, స్పిరిచువాలిటీ, యోగా, whatever I've done, around these times is when it's applicable more, and that's where my true strength should shine. So that's what I would say about that, and I just see it as care, all these salhalu.
Oh man, that's such a nice way of putting it. నేను అయ్యి ఉంటేనా, I'm like, mind your own business, man. అమ్మా, I'm trying to struggle here and నువ్వు నీ ఉచిత సలహాలతో నా బుర్ర తింటున్నావు అని నేను అడిగితే అట్లా రియాక్ట్. But that's a nice way of putting it, and how what positive outlook you have on your personality. That's amazing. In terms of working culture kuda, there are directors who've gone back. About Shekhar Kamula, he worked here and he went back. I know leader promotion or leader audio appudu పోఖ్రీలో ఆయన ఓవరు ఇట్లా పొడుగుంటాడు చూడు, సుబ్రాజ్.
సుబ్బరాజ్
ఆయన ఏం చెప్పిండంటే ఒక ఏదో ఇంటర్వ్యూలో, శేఖర్ కమ్ముల సెట్లోకి వెళ్తే అందరూ దే వర్క్ డిఫరెంట్లీ అంట. ఇట్స్ అ డిఫరెంట్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అంట. ఇట్స్ నాట్ లైక్ అ టిపికల్ ఏడీ అట్లా ఇట్లా ఉండదంట. పీపుల్ అంటే దెర్ ఇస్ డిగ్నిటీ ఆఫ్ లేబర్, దెర్ ఇస్ డిఫరెంట్, ఆ వర్కింగ్ కల్చర్ డిఫరెంట్ ఉంటుందంట. సో దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ న్యూ ఏజ్ డైరెక్టర్స్ బ్రింగ్. Do you have a checklist of new age directors that you want to work with? Arey, this is my checkbox. ఏమైనా ఉన్నాయా నీకు అట్లాంటివి?
అంటే చెక్ బాక్స్ ఉంది నాకు. యాక్చువల్లీ ఒక విజన్ బోర్డ్ ఉంది. న్యూ ఏజ్ డైరెక్టర్స్ అనను. ఆబ్వియస్లీ ఐ వుడ్ లవ్ టు వర్క్ విత్ పీపుల్ హూ హ్యావ్ సర్టన్ స్క్రిప్ట్ or character for me. I really love Maniratnam. నాకేంటో తెలీదు. Again, I'm very old school with certain stuff and the certain cinematic angles and things like that. Or Gotham and Shekhar Kamala, as you mentioned, definitely, one of them I wanted to work with. I think it's just something has to do with female characterization. Endukante out of all this bulk Telugu cinema that comes out, there was few I was able to connect with or feel some sort of, wow, this would be cool to play. Or felt more real of how a real girl would act and things like that. So I don't know, they were on my vision board, and obviously I put Rajmouli, like ఎందుకంటే I have like more than list of directors. I mean these 4 for sure because they're all on my vision board. Because వాళ్ళ every movie లో ఒక pattern definitely ఉంటుంది of something that you connect with, like with Rajmouli's or like that mythological element ఉంటుంది కదా. Every little thing is intentional for him, like, and that is very rarely we see, and I get very excited. Kani ఇప్పుడు మిగతా వాళ్ళవైతే again the female characterization something I admire, but I have list of characters I want to check.
Okay, let's do a role play. Okay.
Oh, okay. It's an audition, live audition.
Okay. నేను బోయపాటి సీనుని.
Okay.
నువ్వు ఒక తెలుగు యాక్ట్రెస్, అరే యువర్ ఆడిషన్కి వచ్చినావు.
Okay.
ఇప్పుడు ఒక రోల్ ఉందమ్మా.
Okay.
పెద్ద హీరో. నీ క్యారెక్టర్ ఏంటంటే వదిన క్యారెక్టర్ ఆ పెద్ద హీరోకి. నువ్వు చీర కట్టుకొని ఏం చేయవు, పక్కన నించుంటావు, చాయ్ ఇస్తావు అంతే, అండ్ ఫ్రీ సజెషన్స్ అక్కడిక్కడ ఇస్తావు, అది నీ రోల్. ఆర్ యూ ఓకే టు డూ దట్ మూవీ?
వదిన క్యారెక్టర్
ఏం చేయవు, పక్కన నించుంటావు. యునో, have you seen a Boyapati movie?
I have. Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు ఒక సెటప్ ఉంటది ఏంటంటే ఒక 10 మంది అమ్మాయిలు ఉంటారు, వాళ్ళు ఏం చేయరు, ఇట్లా చీరలు కట్టుకొని
కలకలాడుతూ ఉంటుంది స్క్రీన్.
ఇట్లా హీరోకి స్నానాలు చేపియడము, హీరోకి లడ్డూలు తినిపించడం, ఇట్లాంటివే ఉంటాయి. అట్లాంటి రోల్ ఆర్ యు ఓకే టు డూ దట్?
See, any role I would only can tell ఆ స్క్రిప్ట్ క్యారెక్టరే అంటాను నేను మీకు చెప్పాను 2 minutes రోల్ అయినా ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ లైక్ ద and in terms of I don't know, like this whole hero ki vadi, I don't know, I hope I mean I know it's like there's that stereotype for sure, but at this point I don't know, I hope I don't stand off as a vadina. I don't think he would even see that if I'm very honest. Nenu meeku 10,000 ista, Boyapati Shrinu sees this and be like, yeah, my definitely oka vadina character fit ayipotadi అని అంటే, బట్ ఐ మీన్ చెప్పలేము. ఇప్పుడు సి ఎవ్రీ టైమ్ ఆ మూమెంట్లో ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు నేను థియేటర్ చేసినప్పుడు ఐ డెంట్ థింక్ ఫిల్మ్స్ చేసేస్తా అని. కోవిడ్ హ్యాపెండ్, వర్చువల్ థియేటర్ చేసా. బట్ ఫిల్మ్స్ చేసినంత మాత్రాన ఇట్స్ నాట్ లైక్ నేను నా థియేటర్కి ఏమంటారు ఐ వెంట్ అగేన్స్ట్ మై వాల్యూస్ కింద కాదు, బికాస్ దే కీప్ చేంజింగ్, రైట్? ఆర్ వెన్ ఐ డూ అ రోల్ విచ్ ఐ థాట్ ఓకే బట్ ఇది నేను ఎప్పుడు చేస్తాను అని అనుకోలేదు, లైక్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ థింగ్, బికాస్ యువర్ వాల్యూ సిస్టమ్ చేంజెస్ ఆర్ వాట్ end of the day how mutually you're being benefited to. If Boyapati Shrinu garu says like amma nu chey but next 5 movies you're the lead annaru anko, obviously I'll do it. Like you never know what is coming
at
out of that.
You are negotiating, it's an investment for
it's
your
an
future.
investment, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a call you make at that. Okay, another reason why I was not able to answer is I always go on gut feeling. I'm a very spiritual girl. Naku okkoksaari anpistunte something's not feeling right or something feels right, although logic sometimes doesn't make sense. And maybe that's why, maybe it also depends on how someone approaches me and how is it someone like dan batti kuda untundi kada. Like ippudu aa character ni nannu tappi inkevaru unchukolenantu unte I was like, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, if ఆ క్యారెక్టర్ నీకు 1 day 1 crore రెమ్యునరేషన్ వస్తే ఎందుకు చేయను? There are so many factors involved, right? అలాంటి దట్స్ వై ఐ రియలీ డోంట్ నో. ఇప్పుడు క్యారెక్టర్ నచ్చితే మేబీ ఇఫ్ ఐ హ్యావ్ ద ట్రస్ట్ ఇన్ ద డైరెక్టర్, ఇవి చాలా మల్టిపుల్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్. టు గెట్ అ సినిమా అవుట్ జస్ట్ సో మెనీ మల్టిపుల్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్. అందుకే ఐ కీప్ సేయింగ్, మీరు నాకు ఒక సిచ్యువేషన్ ఇస్తే హైపోథెటికల్గా నేను ఆన్సర్ చేయలేనేమో, ఎందుకంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ మోర్ ఆఫ్ ఏమంటారు lot of factors. How do I feel when I hear that script or when I talk to that person? Okkokasari naku even if they're newcomer laga, I mean if it's the first project but script bandi but I don't know how he's going to pull it off anna, if I have that time and bandwidth I don't mind giving it a shot, just because like of whatever I felt with that person in that moment. Like I see more of that. ఇప్పుడు కొన్ని ఉంటాయి, ఇప్పుడు if for this role you have to sleep with someone అంటే absolutely not. It's no matter what it is, it's easy. నేను 1 second ఆన్సర్ చెప్తాను, బట్ మిగతావన్నీ చాలా మల్టిపుల్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ ఉంటాయి అంతే.
How do you strike that balance? Because now that you brought up that situation, like let's say if there is an uncomfortable situation where a certain character romances with someone else, how do you prepare for that kind of situation?
How do I prepare for that type of situation? So I don't know how it's done in Telugu cinema really, because ikkada theatre lo kuda we always have, I mean everyone has a different method. Ikkada films ki anytime there's like romantic stuff or intimacy involved, there's an intimacy coordinator. There's an intimacy coordinator.
Shoot.
It's compulsory. Director kuda involved kadu. Intimacy coordinator leads the show during that scene. And even so for me it's like character, is it a checklist box or leda? Because as an actor you sometimes have to prepare for certain things. So one is a lesbian role, not like, it's actually, no, I take it back, it's not a lesbian role. It's a role where she explores her like it's a fun thing. Yeah, it's a fun thing, like two just random young girls and stuff, and randomly like kiss happens, everything. Apra scene lo, except for cameraman, director and intimacy coordinator, no one's supposed to look at you, even if it was just little touch on a lip. That's it. Like, so it was that comfort and space is given.
So this is a real story that you're saying?
It's a real story. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a real story.
So enti so this was a role where you are a lesbian or what?
No, it was not lesbian. It was just like two like high school girls, like fun and games, like they'll be playing with bubbles, and suddenly like in a moment it happens kinda, and even equally shocked. So it's not a full on makeout. It was not like a makeout scene or anything. It was just literally like cheek మీద పెట్టేది. It's like atla quick ga avutadi, like and then danki like there was this whole like intimacy coordinator, and they give you like gums and stuff, like Tic Tacs and gum to make sure your breath's good, and then double check every shot ko, are you okay, on the checklist. So it makes you feel like very taken care of, like that's very so heard important,
man.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if that is Telugu cinema gurinchi నాకు ఏం తెలియదు, like in terms of how that process is, but I don't know if there is an intimacy coordinator as such. But that's an opportunity for us to be more inclusive, like having that position there, because it becomes an independent, ఎందుకంటే తెలుగు సినిమా వాళ్ళు casting couch and all this situation, right? I think a lot of it can be curbed through this. I think this intimacy coordinator is mind blowing for me. Real. I didn't know that.
And they have to, and then in director lekunda intimacy coordinator to group untadi with actors anytime they feel comfortable, ఎందుకంటే rightfully so, because director selfishly their vision should always be the project, and తెలియకుండా subconsciously they might push actors to get whatever the vision they want. Andukani this role is to make sure to strike a balance between that, and in terms of just having a call between before we get to the set, during the set and stuff like that. Koni projects ki obviously, let's say there's no intimacy coordinator, and let's say obviously it's just even like getting close and stuff, right? I think one something I learned in my theatre class is a green zone, yellow zone, red zone. So green, ఎందుకంటే కొన్ని organic ఉండాలి, everything can't be like orchestrated, especially if it's something like romance or a fight, right? So green is like నువ్వు ఎప్పుడు any second you can just touch, like if someone pulls my hand to make it more organic, although నేను expect చేయకపోయినా, that's okay. Yellow is like I'm cool, just give me a heads up. Right? Like if someone grabs like my neck, right? I'd be so like, oh, I did not see that coming. Right? Red is like no zones, right? Like I don't care how involved you're in that character in method acting, your hands should not touch certain parts, no matter how steamy or in terms of a fight or argument a scene gets. Yeah.
That's so interesting, man. Like ivanni ee rules and I'm sure there's not a lot of people know that. I hope that this episode becomes an education in that direction. I really, really hope. ఎందుకంటే మన దగ్గర we're so passionate in movie making, right? We don't take care of little nuances like this that make people comfortable around that workspace. It is eventually a workspace, right?
You're right, yeah.
So tell me about Jagath. Jagath lo ni role enti? Are you paired with someone in Jagath, or what is it?
I am paired with someone. So Jagath lo I am Akira. So that's my role. So Akira is someone who
You know,
gets...
Akira, the name stands a very special place in the Telugu film industry, right?
Really? I did not know. I need to know now. So I think it will help me. Is it a good way or bad way? Tell me ahead.
You really don't know?
I really don't know.
Akira ki Telugu movie connection తెలియదా నీకు?
Nijanga telidu. Are you bluffing right now?
I'm not. Oh man.
Is it too late to change my character name? I'm just kidding. I don't know.
This is
I
your
don't
viral
know.
moment, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, am I being embarrassed right now?
This is your
I'm like
celebrity
sweating.
moment. Pawan Kalyan's son name is Akira.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And Akira is, I think, it's a Japanese name, Anukunda.
Yeah.
I think there's a director called Akira Kurosawa. I think
Yeah.
But yeah, Akira, PK's son's name is Akira.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So that's where I was like.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay, all right. I'm not that.
Yeah.
I thought there might be some like కొన్ని ఇప్పుడు థియేటర్లో ఒక వర్డ్ చెప్పరు లైక్ ఇప్పుడు బ్యాడ్ జరుగుతుంది అని యూ డోంట్ సే ఇట్ వెన్ యూఆర్ లైక్ వర్కింగ్ దాట్ రిలేటెడ్ అని చాలా కేర్ఫుల్ ఉంటారు రైట్ సో అలా ఫిల్మ్లో కూడా ఐ థాట్ ఇట్ వాస్ సమ్ లైక్ వర్డ్ యూ నాట్ సపోజ్ టు సే ఐమ్ లైక్ ఓ మై గాడ్ నౌ వాట్ ఐమ్ గోనా సే Okay. Yeah.
So Jagath release eppudu? When is that releasing? Is there? I know we are doing it this too early. Manam ee promotion, the thing that we are shooting is a little early. Do you have a tentative release date?
No, there's a fixed release date actually, November 8th, 2024 in India. So I'm sure mostly in US as well. So I'll be in India actually like a month before the Naku telidu how promotions work in India and things like that. So it'll be a new experience. Although I've been to India a year ago with acting as intention, because in the Munda it was just for holidays and stuff, right? This time it'll be a little different, which I guess, so maybe I am gonna just go with open-minded, and maybe I will be experiencing things which are going to teach me something new again.
I hope you really make some good connections when you're in Hyderabad. I know that is one of the hopefully those outcomes, right? Of promotions, you make some good connections, and it's all about floating in the network, right?
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah, you just never know. I really hope that happens. And tell our viewers about Jagath. Why Jagath is important as a movie to you?
So Jagath is very special. Firstly, endukante US lo anta budget petti, it's a sci-fi film. So we see a lot of elements that are not just easily just shot with a camera, right? And we shot in very extreme conditions, whether it be rain, snow, summer, you name it. We have covered all the seasons. But avanni pakkana pettite, it has a lot of mythological elements to it. We have the elements of Sri Chakra, and then like how alanti story okati manaki US lo jarigite, like, and how a group of 5 people will be impacted through those. So it has a lot of those elements, which is not a very straightforward script, which we shot in US. And again, this is all with not necessarily like a production house backing. We didn't have like a caravan and all that type of setup, right? It's a blend of so much passion. So one, I would say, if you're someone interested in that type of genre, like, or like more story, telling stuff, definitely watch. And then also another thing I would say is like just for support in terms of like the very new age stuff. And andaru untaru, like you antu untaru kada US lo start cheyali and things like that. But this is our attempt to do it, and I think the way it goes, obviously content bound ali, really could impact a lot of coming of age directors or filmmakers over here to see if they should focus on that or like gear away to something else, whichever it may. It'll be an experiment basically.
Okay. Any closing comments to our Telugu Tales viewers?
Closing comments. Firstly, thank you. Thank you, Sai, for giving me this opportunity to be on Telugu Tales. And Telugu Tales audience ki, I would just say, like, please do, shower your love and support for the work that we do. And if you watched it this far, I am so grateful that you are somewhat invested in my journey. And then I also want to just say, whatever I shared, my thoughts are just experiences that I went through. I didn't ఏమంటారు, like, I don't really mean to intend to target anyone or upset anyone, nothing like that, but it's always like so interesting for me to see how the world works. I think that's how my brain thinks. Everything I see of it, like, that's interesting.
Has it been any difference in terms of how the show went for you? I really want some organic feedback. How did this go? Did you like it? Did we make you comfortable, or how was this experience?
No, this is great. Enduku ante, lot of times I think we don't really take the time to reflect. And some of the questions you're asking me is some of the questions I probably haven't asked myself, So when I'm verbalizing that, it's coming more real, or it's making it seem like, avunu kada, like, what would I do? Like those type of things. And it just makes me feel more close to myself in a weird way.
You better have that 2-minute Rajamouli pitch ready, man, after this.
2-minute Rajamouli pitch.
Yeah.
Nijanga, this is a manifestation. I believe in manifestation. Exact ala avakpoina somewhat outtadi ani meer nammaru. Like, I put a big theater screen on my vision board. I put like this award, and randomly and literally just weird reasons outtadi, and maybe not in the grand debut Sitaramam debut la kakapoina. Universe makes its way as long as you put genuine effort. It might sound so spiritual, whatever, but na life lo ala instances jarigai which zero chance asalu ee ammaiki itlanti characters paddam, especially importantly whatever to this kabatti. But yeah, so if that Rajamouli moment, Maniratnam moment, or anything close by does happen, Sai, nenu first Nikki vachi chepta, and we'll dig through those footage and make it out of it. See, I manifested. And
I really hope that happens. I had a lovely time having this conversation. I think I really hope we stay connected, and probably sometime later, the next movie that you're working on, we'll have another opportunity to talk and see how we have oh man, why am I drawing a blank right now? How we maneuver our lives. I think that's how
true.
we'll see.
Yep, as I said, I see every connection as a relationship. Nothing happens by chance. And thank you so much for making me feel very, like, respected, comfortable. I had a lovely time, as I said, and thank you for actually taking time out of your Dallas trip to do this podcast. Because again, like, this really gives an opportunity for the more people to know about Jagath or about me, and then also to just connect with an individual who now shares, some things, as we also chatted, way before the show. So thank you for that.
Thanks a lot, Sravanthi. Good luck, and we'll stay connected.
I need it. Thank you so much.
Bye.